In 1918, at the fragile age of just 30, a young man from southern India was admitted into the Royal Society of Mathematics, the second Indian in history to ever receive this honor. Think about that. A society so exclusive, so powerful, it shaped the scientific world itself. The very institution that had a say in who would go on to win a Nobel Prize. That man was Srinivasa Ramanujan. Decades before string theory became the holy grail of physics, Ramanujan quietly laid down its mathematical heart. He gave the world the foundation of what would later be known as the K3 surface, nearly 90 years before science would even recognize its importance. And yet, most people today do not know his name, not in the West, not even in his own country. December 22nd is celebrated in India as National Mathematics Day, but ask around, and you'll see how few even know why. How does a mind this extraordinary remain a stranger in history? To answer that, you have to go back. Picture a boy, 13 years old. While children his age were still struggling with simple equations, Ramanujan devoured an advanced trigonometry book by S. Loney. Devoured and mastered. At an age when most kids were learning fractions, he was independently discovering sophisticated theorems no teacher had ever shown him. By 16, he stumbled upon a massive tome, a synopsis of elementary results in pure and applied mathematics. 5,000 theorems, compressed into a single volume. He absorbed it in 1 year. Then, armed with this knowledge, he calculated the value of Euler's constant to 50 decimal places. 50. A feat that allowed scientists to predict probability with greater accuracy. And all this achieved by a boy who had not even finished school. He was gifted, yes, but he was also obsessed. Ramanujan's love for mathematics was consuming, dangerous even. He would forget to eat, to sleep. His mother had to feed him as he scribbled endlessly on a slate. In every other subject, he failed. And because of that, he lost his scholarship, his degree, and with it, his chance at a respectable job. In a cruel irony, one of the world's greatest mathematical minds could not even complete college. No degree meant no employment meant no income, and no income meant a family with nothing to eat. Out of necessity, mathematics, the very thing that defined him, was pushed aside. Eventually desperate, he wrote to the Madras Port Trust, humbly applying for the modest position of a clerk. Can you imagine? A man who could wrestle with infinity reduced to balancing ledgers. But hunger is real. Poverty has a way of silencing even the brightest genius. Yet fate, it seems, was not finished with him. His colleagues, awed by the wild theorems he scribbled in notebooks, urged him to send his work to leading British mathematicians. The first two never even opened his letters. They dismissed him without a thought. But then his words landed on the desk of G.H. Hardy, one of Cambridge's most respected mathematicians. Hardy, too, was about to toss the letter aside, until one detail caught his eye. Ramanujan had not only challenged one of Hardy's own theorems, he had disproved it. What Hardy saw next would change his life. Ramanujan's methods were unlike anything Europe had ever witnessed. His continued fractions, his infinite series, they weren't just correct, they were brilliant. Hardy would later confess, "I had never seen anything like it. Ramanujan has defeated me completely," so he wrote back. A simple invitation. Would Ramanujan come to England, to Cambridge, and work with him? But destiny, again, was cruel. When Ramanujan arrived in England in 1914, the world was collapsing into the chaos of the First World War. Armies marched, cities burned, nations struggled to survive. Who had time for infinity then? His work, though groundbreaking, was too far ahead of its time, incomprehensible even to those around him. He had skipped steps in his proofs, leapt across chasms of logic that others could not follow. His mathematics lived years, perhaps centuries in the future. And in the present, his body betrayed him. Childhood illnesses, smallpox, ulcers, tuberculosis. One after another, his health crumbled. By the time he returned to India in 1919, he was already dying. There's a story Hardy would later tell about a hospital visit near the end. He mentioned to Ramanujan that he had arrived in a taxi numbered 1729, calling it dull, unremarkable. Ramanujan smiled faintly. "No, Hardy," he said. 1729 is very interesting. It is the smallest number that can be expressed as the sum of two cubes in two different ways. A dying man, seeing beauty where others saw nothing. But here's the secret. That wasn't a spontaneous remark. In his private notebooks, Ramanujan had been exploring ideas that linked directly to Fermat's last theorem, the riddle that haunted mathematicians for centuries. His notes, rediscovered long after his death, were not ordinary scribbles. In those fragile pages, scientists later uncovered what he called Mach theta functions. At the time, nobody understood them. They looked incomplete, like whispers of a language humanity had not yet learned to speak. And yet, 80 years later, physicists discovered that those very functions describe the hidden states of black holes. Ramanujan, writing alone on a slate in Madras, had unknowingly touched the mathematics of the cosmos. Even his other scattered formulas, dismissed as mystical in his lifetime, later turned out to be astonishingly precise. For instance, his formula for the partition function. This gave, with uncanny accuracy, the number of ways any whole number could be broken down into sums, a problem that lies at the heart of modern number theory and cryptography. A formula so powerful that even today, supercomputers use it to calculate billions of digits of. Think about that. A man with no formal degree, lying sick in a small room in Madras, was writing formulas that today help us understand the most violent, enigmatic objects in the cosmos. He died at 32, his body gone, but his notebooks remained, filled with discoveries the world would spend a century trying to decode. December 22nd is his birthday. In India, it is National Mathematics Day, but still, too few know his name. Too few remember the young clerk who defied poverty, illness, and rejection to gift humanity glimpses of infinity. And maybe that's why we tell his story, not only to honor him, but to remind ourselves of something deeper, that genius is fragile, that brilliance can be silenced by hunger, by circumstance, by time itself. And yet, even from the margins of history, Ramanujan whispers to us still. In black holes, in string theory, in the hidden mathematics of the universe, he whispers, look closer. The truth is always there, waiting.